Before I go into part 2, here are some honorable mentions who almost made the list. Okay, now let's continue. Number 5. Alex Hall in Following. For a movie that was made for about £6,000, Following continues to be a captivating indie flick from the 90s. This non-linear black and white film is rife with traces of film noir, and nowhere is that more obvious than in the character of Cobb. Played by Alex Hall, Cobb is a handsome and witty young man who can still disappear into a crowd if he wants to. He gives off an aura of danger, and when he talks to you, you wonder just what it would take for him to turn hostile. For the protagonist, he's a mysterious yet fascinating man, and the fact that he's a master thief makes him all the more intriguing. But he's not just in it for valuables. He wants to invade people's privacy, ruffle them out of their comfort and security. He wants to leave an impact while being completely untouchable. Haw gave a great performance in this movie, but the amazing thing is that right after he did this, he went into architecture and never looked back. I suppose he did this for a quick paycheck or something, but the fact that he clearly didn't intend to be an actor makes this great performance all the more impressive to me. Number 4. Carrie-Anne Moss and Guy Pearce in Memento. Yes, I'm cheating here. I'm putting two people together on this list. Sue me. Anyway, I've already gone into Guy Pearce's performance as Leonard in another video, so if you're curious about my reasons for his being here, you can check out my top 5 Guy Pearce performances video. But thinking back to Memento, it surprised me just how memorable Carrie-Anne Moss's performance also was. I mean, I never really liked her in the Matrix movies, and that was about all I had seen of her. But in Memento, she gives an incredibly layered performance. While Leonard is a man suffering from anterogate amnesia, Natalie is a bartender who befriends him and helps him find the man who murdered his wife. Now, obviously in a Christopher Nolan movie, not everything is as it seems, and Natalie is no exception. As the movie goes on, we start to realize what she's actually doing, and only near the very end do we finally see what her real motivation is in this thrilling story. Pearce and Moss play off brilliantly against each other, and the great thing about their sincere underdog characters is how this supposedly simple setup is warped into something far more complicated and far more interesting than we expected. Number 3. Robin Williams in Insomnia. Amazing to think that of all the people to play a man who lusts after a teenage girl and then violently murders her, Nolan decided on one of the most famous comedians of our time. To be fair, it's no surprise to anyone that Robin Williams is capable of non-comedic roles, but I had never quite imagined him to be as disturbing as he is in this movie. As played by Williams, Walter Finch is a reclusive author who is the man behind the murder that Will Dormer is investigating. But suddenly, Walter witnesses something which gives him an advantage over Will Dormer, and the two of them are forced to work together to make things work out for the both of them. The way Walter torments Will with his insomnia and his guilt, that's bad enough. But the really disturbing moment is when Walter describes the scene of his own crime, going into all the details, including his mindset at the time. And he speaks like he would to a therapist or a priest, even while Will's reaction is much like our own as we listen to this man talk about that moment where he gave in to his own inner demons. It's an unforgettable scene, and Robin Williams managed to give so much gravitas without making it sound ridiculous or phony, just like he did throughout the rest of the film as well. Number 2. Christian Bale in The Prestige. I was very tempted to go with Bale's role as Batman, given how he does such a good job playing both Bruce Wayne and Batman. And yes, I actually do like the Bat-Bale voice. But to be honest, I think his performance in The Prestige allows him a more interesting character. Alfred Borden is a magician who is embroiled in a bitter rivalry with Hugh Jackman's Robert Angier. The two of them were originally friends, but a tragic accident led to lifelong bitterness. As a result, they're in an arms race using magic as their weapons, each trying to defeat the other by coming up with the best magic trick. Alfred juggles his career, his competition, his family, and eventually a woman who works as his assistant. He also loves magic for the craft rather than the fame, unlike Angier. And watching these two men compete more and more viciously with each other leads to a series of twists and reveals that I dare not give away. And, of course, Hugh Jackman also does a good job, but personally I think Bale is the one with the more nuanced character and the more interesting performance. And my number one choice is Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Yeah, it's no contest. I'm sorry for being obvious, but I can't help it. Heath Ledger gave a performance as the Joker which we had never seen before. Not even Mark Hamill's Joker had ever been so savage and unhinged as Ledger was. The Joker is crazy but dangerously intelligent. He preaches anarchy and chaos, but the real truth is that he's the most meticulous planner of the entire Batman franchise. His plans are incredibly detailed and hinge on so many things falling into place. And all the while, he's laughing at things which make others speechless with horror. He doesn't even care for his own mortality when Batman seems ready to kill him, because he understands that if Batman were to do that, it would be the Joker's ultimate victory and his literal last laugh. Someone once told me that the real stars of a Batman movie are its villains. Batman is, for the most part, the same throughout his films, but each villain that appears is colorful or gritty or, well, basically villainous in their own way. Heath Ledger is no exception. He does a great job balancing the colorful comedy of the Joker as well as the gritty savagery behind a man who is willing to watch the world burn. So far, it's still the best performance in a Christopher Nolan movie, and one of the best performances in a Batman film in general. As for Christopher Nolan, I'm sure he's going to continue making great films, and I can't wait for whatever he does next.